Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We're excited about today's webinar. We're going to talk a little bit about revenue strategies for online directories. I'm James. I'm the founder of the company, and with us today we have Emerson and Gabriel from our marketing department. So thanks everybody for joining. A couple logistics before we get started. We will be recording today's webinar, and it will be posted onto the blog on eDirectory.com sometime tomorrow morning, typically. So if you want to watch it again later, it will be there available for you. Also, if anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to just drop them into the chat, and we will stop periodically and pick them up as we go. In addition, towards the end of the webinar, at the end of the webinar, we'll have more time just to answer any questions you have on this topic or any others. And I guess just before we get started, just a quick background for anybody that's new here on eDirectory. This is the platform that we sell. It is a platform, a content management system for building online directory style sites. You can create listings, import data. It's used for all sorts of different sites, from local guides to vendor directories, anything you can imagine. You can customize all the fields in it, import your data. We have native mobile apps that you build and submit under your own brand in the iPhone, the Apple Store, and the Google Android Store. And if you'd like a private demo, just reach out and we'll have an account executive do a private demo with you. Great. So yeah, let's get started talking about revenue generation. The first thing I always ask people, they set up the website, and often, the goal of eDirectory is often they sell sponsorships or listings, etc. And so the first thing I always like to just ask people is, are you ready to monetize? Before we even get started on that, typically there are 3 phases to launching a directory site. The first phase is often building out the content. This is where you import your data, you make sure that the content looks good, that all the categories are filled out, you've done some of the SEO optimization, etc. The next phase is often building an audience, where you get people to engage with the directory. People are searching, they're posting reviews, they're claiming their own listings. That's another great feature that eDirectory has, where people can claim a listing. And then the third phase is monetization, where essentially then you start selling the listings and it becomes a success. So you'll always be building an audience and always be building content. But it's good to think about those first 2 phases, because if you don't have any content and you're expecting visitors to come in and just post listings on an empty site, they're not going to do it. You really have to make sure that the content looks good. And the audience building takes a little while, takes a little bit of time, but over time, as your content is really good, Google search engines will find it. People will go there. Typically, you set up an email newsletter program as well, social media, etc., and drive people to the site. So don't put the cart before the horse. Think about those steps and go. So the next thing is what can you sell? What can you sell with eDirectory? Well, the core of eDirectory is listings, so people sponsor listings. They can add their own listing. You can have different levels of listings. So that's sort of the obvious one, obviously. eDirectory, the platform, also has a classified module where you can put up things like, used equipment or cars, job ads, those type of things as well. Events are another big module. These are like trade shows or other industry events that people use, and you can charge money for posting those event listings as well. Banner ads is another one. Obviously, you can put banner ads throughout the site. Sponsored articles is another thing you might want to think about as well, just doing special packages with people to post sponsored content there in the listing. One thing we like to remind people is that when you're setting up your directory, think about what other services that may not have anything to do with online directories or whatever else you're selling, bundle in other services with the listings. These can be things like photography, like say you're doing a local guide, restaurants may need a photographer to go take photos of the plates and do all of that. You can hire a freelance photographer and send them out as part of a package. You bundle in a listing, whatever else. One that works well is website and email hosting. We have a product that we're working on, Page One Sites, that does website and email hosting, but you can host websites and email with Wix or whatever else. And sell people those. Video creation works really well. We've seen that work a lot, where you go out and you send out somebody to take video and do videos about a business, about the products that they sell, testimonials, et cetera, et cetera. That works great for B2B directories as well as local. Other services just in the marketing space, because at the end of the day, the directory business is often a pretty classic media business. And so other media sort of services around there can work really well with eDirectory. Things like managing people's AdWords, doing SEO service for small businesses. They might buy a listing, but then they need SEO on their own website, that type of thing. Content writing, you can do service where you're going to write content for them, blog posts, social media posts, manage their social media accounts. Those type of things as well work pretty well. Also, affiliate programs are often used. There's a plugin for eDirectory, iDev Affiliate, that allows you to set up your own sort of affiliate programs with other businesses. But you can also post in links to, like, I think Amazon has an affiliate program where you get a special link on Amazon, and if people click that link from your directory site, you'll get a small commission on the sale. That type of thing. So that's good to think about as well. And one other thing that people put in is Google AdSense. And if you're not familiar with Google AdSense, these are the ads that you'll see on websites all over the internet, really. And they're, the Google ads basically not just on google.com, but these are actually on other people's websites. And so Google has a program called AdSense, where basically you embed a little snippet of code in your website and your directory site, and it will show relevant Google ads based on your content. And anytime anybody clicks on those, you'll get a small percentage of those. To be honest with you, you need quite a bit of traffic for this to pay off, but often people use it because it pays, it fills space. There's other similar programs out there, other similar ad networks out there. What are some other ones? I think Emerson and Gabriel, like Outbrain. There's some other ones you can post.
Outbrain, AdRoll, Taboola.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of programs like this, and the way that you do them is we have a custom content widget. You put that on the page where you want them, and then you drop the snippet in there, and it should show the ads for you to earn a little bit extra. And then what else can you sell when you're sort of monetizing your site? And really, it's about being creative. You may have some really specialized knowledge in some area that works well with what what the listing package. The other thing people often do that works well is just doing partners with either other sponsors, where, hey, you bundle up all these services, like, oh, we maybe have an accountant or somebody that offers financial planning services, and you can do some deal. Hey, we'll give you a free listing if you offer some discount on that for our members of this group here, that type of thing for your sponsors. So be creative, get out there and see what works. So next, just a little bit about how to price it. So the pricing really depends on the market, and we have some sites that are really sort of B2B directories with a really high price point, high ticket in the market. If they're selling a piece of equipment that's $100,000, they don't need to get too many sales to pay off a listing. So those B2B markets often are fairly expensive. Some things like local search are a little bit cheaper, but even within local search, some categories work really well, like locksmith, where those can potentially be, fairly lucrative categories. You can charge a pretty high price point with those. So what you want to do is think about the value that you're providing, and then you can use that to sort of calculate, hey, how much value am I providing this sponsor of mine? If they get a sale, what is that going to be worth to them? And then you can decide how to price it so that it makes sense for everybody. With that, if you're charging too much, obviously you're not going to get the renewal. And if you're charging too little, you're leaving some money on the table. So you want to get the right price point on that. You can also look at other businesses in the area. Some categories pay more than others, as I mentioned. Like in local search, you have a bakery, people go in, coffee, bagel, $10 versus a hotel, which might be $150, $200 a night. And so the hotel category is probably going to be worth a little bit more than others. In eDirectory, you can set price points in some of those categories as a way to configure that in there. Let's see. Let me stop just for a sec. We had a couple questions come in. I'll just pick these up right now. How would you rank revenue opportunities as far as best money making right off the bat? Yeah, when you're just getting started and you're trying to get some new revenue in. I think honestly the best thing is probably bundling in some other marketing services, and ones that are sort of tangible seem to work better. So if you bundle in things like website creation, or the video features are really great, but you can charge a pretty high price point for that. Stock photography, that kind of thing as well. And just put that in a package and then get a partner, outsource it if you don't have skill to do it yourself. You can actually take a pretty good video these days on an iPhone with just get a light, some type of a studio lighting, and you'd be surprised. It's not that hard. Take a little, spend an hour or two learning how to edit video, and you'd be surprised what you can do with that. And it's real value to people. So I'd probably recommend bundling in something tangible, selling listings, getting started, and then as you start to get a lot more traffic, other things where you may not make quite as much per sale, those might work better. Affinity groups is a comment there. How about selling targeted business lists? Yeah, that works. Data selling, data vendor. Yes, we've had a lot of people do that actually, and that works pretty well. If you're able to build a really great list, there's some significant value to that. There's a whole bunch of sort of cheap nominal lists out there. You can buy every business in the US for like $100, but the list isn't very good. And so if you're really putting together really great data on a targeted industry, that's pretty significant value there. Is there a membership subscription model available on eDirectory for business listings, similar to urban sports? Yeah, so we have, you can change the word from sponsor to member there, and it's sort of like that. We do have a member mod plugin as well. Really need to see we are working on those features right now as well. Our product development team is working on some of the membership stuff to restrict access to different content and some of those other things as well. Okay, great. Let me stop with the questions right there, get back to the presentation, then I'll pick it up in a minute here on some of these other questions, okay? Great. So one other way to estimate pricing is Google AdWords. So you can log into Google. This is their advertising program where they sell you pay them per click, and they charge different clicks depending on the keyword, and it's sort of an auction model. So you can go in there and see what Google's charging in your different categories, and then use that to estimate how much traffic you're going to have, how many clicks you can deliver, and then you can sort of set a price based on what Google AdWords is charging. That'll tell you. You can also look at competitor websites is another way to do that. See what other competitors are charging. Market segmentation is really a good idea. We typically, when you're getting started, to keep it simple, recommend 3 levels. A free level, which is, you import data and set up a free level, even if they're not paying. And this is good for 2 reasons. One of them is you'll get the organic SEO traffic for all of these free listings. So you'll get other visitors coming into the website, and when your site has more visits, obviously it's, there's more value there to anybody. So free level provides sort of organic search visits. The second thing is it gets people engaged, even if they're not paying you now, they might pay you in the future. And so you can constantly upsell them on the way there. The second level is often sort of an affordable level, which would be like where you make most of your money. If you're doing your sort of your target revenue and all that, you say how many listings I'm going to sell at what price point. And that's probably your affordable level, you know, $100 a month, $300 a year, whatever it's going to be. You can decide. And then there's sort of an aspirational level, which is like the big guy, the big ticket. And those you can sell, you know, for 5, 10x maybe what the affordable level is, and really try to go out and do a personal sale for a big sponsor. Often those work well, like if it's a local guy with like tourist organizations, people, you know, groups that have budgets to help their organization, Chamber of Commerce, those type of things that have a budget to help market their people, you can go out and make a partnership with them. Or just the leaders in markets, off, you know, whoever's the leader in the market, they'll often go and buy the big ad for that. Monthly versus annual pricing. One thing is to keep in mind is you must produce return on investment for an advertiser before they renew, or you're going to have a high churn rate. They're going to cancel your sponsorship. And so think about that. We typically, when you're getting started, recommend give yourself more runway, you know, to get things taken off. So if you do sort of an annual price getting started, that often works a little bit better. It's a little bit harder to sell, but typically it's not that much harder to do for that. A little just quick to touch on some sales and marketing techniques here. Understand sort of your organization's sales and marketing maturity and execute accordingly. And so you can read about how to run a sales or marketing organization. I'm actually a software engineer. Computer engineer was my sort of my university education. I did actual software development for a number of years. And then when I first started Arca, the company behind eDirectory, this is years ago. This is like, you know, nearly 20 years ago at this point. I went out and I read every sort of marketing and sales book I possibly could at that point, just because I didn't know anything at all about it. And what I quickly realized is like there's ways that like a Fortune 500 company with an enormous budget does marketing versus very small organizations do marketing. And so some of your sites are for big organizations and big groups, and they market very differently than, you know, some local sort of guide. And so you need to sort of understand where you are and make your planning and execution accordingly. As far as just sort of a basic sales plan, you want to build your business list. You can build it by scraping it, finding it, you know, putting it together by hand, however you're going to do it. We have other webinars on building your data. That list is your business list is sort of the same as who you're going to sell against. So get that list first, then you want to import it into eDirectory. And then in each of the key categories, you want to go in and build out the listings so they look great. Just a few of them in each category so that the site looks good. Then you can start to reach out people to claim the listing. And you can do this sort of personally at the beginning to get the first couple, and then over time you can start to do this via mass email or mass contact, however you're going to do that. And then over time people will start claiming their listing. They may just show up out of the blue off Google search or whatever. And then after they've claimed it, you know, you can upsell them on paid listings and other opportunities. And that's sort of the cycle of how the basic sales plan. When you're doing sales and marketing, think about the cost per contact, really understand that. Some channels are cheaper, more expensive than others. Marketing only, where you're not actually reaching out to somebody via phone or personally, doing a personal contact where you're just doing email blasts or whatever else, often works for very low cost listings. But once the price point gets up, you're often going to have to present your value proposition the way they're actually going to read it and get through there. So telesales is more expensive than sort of just a basic marketing only. But for telesales, you really got to know how to do it, and there's some skill to it. We've seen it work before for sure, but it works better in some segments than others. A lot of people today just don't answer the phone. So you got to like warm them up with an email and whatever else with the telesales to do that. Or often they need to contact you for some other information first. There's a lot of things you can do around content marketing as well, where you sort of get them engaged through that. And then in-person sales is much more expensive per contact, and often people do these in-person sales when either it's a very, very high ticket sale or you're able to get them a group of people at the same place, like fish sort of in a barrel, like, you're at some type of a trade show or meeting or something where there's multiple people there, just because your time or your sales group's time is expensive. Whatever you do, sales always needs marketing support. Do some great content marketing, put stuff out there, keep people engaged, etc. Execution, write a schedule for your sales and marketing. If you're in a more mature phase where you're ready to use a CRM, a customer relations thing where you have, activities and thing, it manages your contacts basically. There's a bunch of CRMs out there. Salesforce.com, Insightly is one based off Google, I think. Sugar, I don't know if I'd recommend it. There's a bunch of other newer ones like Pipedrive, et cetera, et cetera. You can find a CRM all over the place. But I would say only do it if you actually have full-time rep ready to go there. If you're just kind of doing it part-time, doing it yourself, probably you can work off Excel. Watch a set of 3 to 5 metrics. These are things like how many contacts do you need before you get somebody to claim a listing or sign up or visit the website? How many contacts do you need before you get a sale? All those sort of things. Get your metrics down first. Elephant hunting does work. Search for a few big sponsors. Look for site-wide sponsorships. Do full-on mobile app sponsorship where you put their logo or whatever on there for that. Whatever else you can possibly sell to get the big sponsors in. You don't just have to give them a listing. You can go and just create a widget there and put their image on there somewhere else on the right bar of the site or on the footer or wherever else for that. And at the end of the day, remember, it's all about the value you're providing, and you got to understand what value is your site providing to the visitors and your sponsors and all of that. Is it providing visibility? Is it providing a seal of approval? You're sort of curating content and making sure that the sponsors in your directory are very good providers or legitimate, that type of thing. Are you just providing leads to people where they might get a sale off whatever comes through there? So really understand that value and try to maximize it. And at the end of the day, I think my last tip is just make sure you're delivering ROI. So instead of charging one price, you may want to charge more money and then use that extra money to buy traffic right into the individual listings. So you can charge, say, instead of charging 100, charge 300, and then take 200 of that and go out and buy Google ads right into the individual listing that paid you. And that way they'll get some additional traffic on it, and your whole site-wide traffic will go up. So that's another technique people use about that. And you could even put that in your listing package, what you're selling there. We're selling you a listing. We're going to use some of this budget to promote your listing. We're doing, we're experts in promoting, online promotion, et cetera, with that. And always remember, quality is key, or quality of content. There's a whole bunch of content all over the internet today. And so really, it's all about providing really good quality, preferably things that nobody else has, or combinations of listings and groups of things. Like, do you have the best information? If you were going to go if you were researching a purchase decision, would you go to your website? And if you're able to sort of get that quality where it needs to be, I think you'll find you're able to run a successful business out of it. And yeah, so it is a great business model. Never underestimate the power of persistence. It takes a little while to get things up and running, but it's great recurring revenue, et cetera. So great. So that is my presentation. But let me check where we were here on the let me check where we were on the questions. Do you guys have any comments there, Emerson or Gabriel, at this point, or should I let me just jump in the
I was just going to mention the strategy of using free trials, so we can onboard people easier.
Yeah, so eDirectory has a feature in there where you can set up free trials. They get a free trial of a listing and can go in there and do that. It uses, I think you collect the credit card via Stripe payment gateway, and then it'll bill them some days later, or something along those lines. So that's a great feature as well. Well, great. Let me jump in here on the question. So where I left off is a question from Shakita Torres, any ideas for mental health directories? I don't know that industry too well, but I think it's probably a pretty good industry because people need to make a purchase decision. It's kind of an important one. And there's all sorts of providers out there. So I would just, make sure that you focus on the niche of, whatever you're doing there, don't spread it too thin. You might start with one geographic area and then branch it out. Don't try to go global at the beginning. Just go really strong in a very small area, even within some categories within that space. And then the other thing you may want to do when you're getting started is just sort of map out, in that segment this is from a business standpoint, but map out. And some people's goals in running these directories, honestly, they're not to maximize revenue or profit and all of that. They're not necessarily commercial business. They're really just trying to help people make good purchase decisions or whatever else. But if you are trying to maximize revenue and all of that, what you can do there is probably look at the industry and figure out where the marketing budgets are going within the industry, and then target those groups that have the marketing budgets in terms of the sponsorships on those. And you'll probably look at the industry and you're like, oh, there's pharmaceutical providers or healthcare systems, or these people have really big budgets, and how can we tap into that?
James,
yeah,
just one idea, not just for mental health directories, but for other type of service providers, bundling the listing with some articles, because these people, doctors, they like to write, and having this content is good for SEO, traffic, etc. So
absolutely, that's a great tip. Yeah, sponsored content where you can, even if you're just doing it for free or whatever, you say, hey, get a doctor and get them to sign up as a sponsor, and then you'll publish their articles on that. Is there a chance we have credit card payment and PayPal? Yeah, I think we can set up both gateways, right, in eDirectory, Emerson? Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, you can just turn both of those on in the site manager. Under site manager settings, there's a way to enable PayPal, and you can also accept via credit card gateway. Do you recommend free initially and 2 tiers of paid? I recommend, I'd recommend always having a free level and probably 2 tiers of paid. That's probably what I would recommend. I think out of the box we have, I don't know, 4 levels or even maybe more than that. I'm not even sure. Usually too many levels isn't good. It's too confusing. 3 is usually good. That's what I'd recommend, a free level and then 2 tiers of paid. Does eDirectory integrate with WordPress? So the way that you can set up sort of WordPress with an eDirectory site in it is often people set it up on like a subdomain where you have like directory.other domain, and then part of the site is run on the eDirectory and part of it is run on WordPress. And then you just customize the style of the header to match, so that from the user standpoint, it all looks the same. With that, so that works for a lot of people. If you need some deeper integration, you can reach out and we can see if it's installed in a folder or do something else there. Just reach out to our account management team if you really need to use WordPress. eDirectory does have a very, very simple blog module included with it though, so you can publish a blog on eDirectory as well. Comment from Michael, I guess that was related to the free listing and then paid. Invest time in building out some basic listings. Yes, absolutely. The more content you have, the more people are going to come. Is there a way to set expirations on the advertisements? Example, the banner ad does not renew and expires from being viewed. Yes, there are expiration dates on the banners as well. You can see that in the banner module, and they have a expiration date on them. HubSpot. Yeah, so I think HubSpot, yes, you can put that in. I think just putting in snippets of HubSpot to run some of the content in there. I think you can use, we have a custom content module where you can put in snippets of JavaScript of code there. So I think that's how you would do the HubSpot integration if you want to integrate with that. What were the names of the companies for options for AdSense? I think that question from Barb was related to other ad networks. So Gabriel can pop them in the chat here. He'll pop in. We'll post a couple of those other ad networks in the chat. Some of them may pay better than AdSense. I'm not sure. I know Outbrain is one, but there are a bunch of networks, and really a lot of those networks you need to have pretty good traffic for those. Additional value, lead sales. Is there a possibility for the claimed business listings to publish their own e-commerce products, classifieds from Shopify or any other? Would it be available under eShop category page or visible to all site visitors? Yeah, so we actually have a great feature in eDirectory where in the listing, you can we have a widget that allows you to sort of set up a little sort of product gallery for the individual listing. And then those links in there can go to a Shopify store or somewhere else to actually pay the listing owner for there. So that is available already in the base product. Reach out to us we can show you how that works with the system, but it is kind of like setting up a little mini store in the individual listings. Do you have to charge sales tax for listing subscriptions? From what I understand about sales tax in the United States, it's those are all state laws, not national law. So you might need to check the state where your business is based. I think you're not shipping anything, so that's different. I think you're shipping things. It's even where the person is located. I don't know enough about sales tax laws, but I think some states you may have to, some states you may not. And eDirectory has a way to where you put the listing price and then you put in sales tax, or if you're in Europe, a VAT tax, you can add that in there and it'll mark up the price of the listing a little bit and show that on the checkout receipt or whatever for that. So the system is set up for it. Whether you need to do it or not, that probably is something you need to get advice from a local accountant or check, somebody local, do some research. Next question, was this webinar recorded? Had to step away. Yes, we have a recording and we'll post it to the eDirectory blog. You can go to eDirectory.com on the footer. Tomorrow morning we'll post it, and on the footer you'll see a link to the blog. Oh, Gabriel already answered that. Great. Great. Let me see. Any more questions? I was going to offer 14 or 30 days for free and then low cost listings. I have a large marketing audience base. Yeah, so free trials are a great way to get started. Sounds good. So it's meant to work completely standalone without a hosting integration. Let me see. Yes, I think so. Yeah, eDirectory is able to work straight alone. You can just sign up on go to eDirectory.com and sign up, and the hosting and everything's all included with it potentially. So you're all set there. You don't need any other hosting. We do have an owned license as well, where you can get the source code and you can install it on your own server, etc. We have a question about that next. If you buy the self-hosted source access, is there a training and handover provided by the eDirectory team to my own dev team? Yes, I think our packages normally include a training. And as far as installation, I think we typically include that with our package, but the server needs to be pre-configured, and we have a manual on getting all the base requirements and stuff like that on the server. We also have, I think, some images for some common hosting environments to help you with that. And yeah, we have a support team available, eDirectory support. We're pretty proud of our support, actually. So you go to eDirectory.com, we have support on chat and as well if you have any questions there. How do you make changes to the features to include bundles and other services in parts of the different plans? I don't know if you're prepared to pull up a quick screen share and just show them how to edit that real quick, how to edit the, probably the listing advertise page is how they would edit it, just to show what's on the advertise with us. Emerson will get that set up if he's able to do that real quick. And I will, let me keep going on questions. I will show you how to put the bundle.
It's ready to go here. Can you see my screen?
Yep, I can.
Okay.
Great. Everybody can see that. So
okay,
this is the site manager interface here. And If you go into design, we have a page editor where you're able to edit all the pages throughout the website. Go maybe first, Emerson, now that you're logged in, just go to the front of the site and hit that advertise to show them how to edit this page where that feature works. So I think that'll give them some real clarity. No, not, yeah, is it list with us? The advertise with us yet? So these are the options here. And if you want to edit this page, when you're logged in as an administrator, this little black bar here appears at the top and it has edit this page. So you can hit that. And then basically what you're going to do is just go into the widget that has all those content options, the pricing and plans there. And you just hit that little edit button on the right. We have another widget as well.
Yeah, we must add it to the pricing widget for the individual module, for example, the listing. I'm sure pricing plans. That's
so there's a couple different things here, and then you, and then you edit it. We have a couple different widgets. One of them is a simple sort of auto-generated one. And then now there's a whole bunch of different, now you can type in individual features that you would like on each of these plans here. So if you want to add in free video, we create 2 videos per year, you can put that into the gold level, something like that with that. So hopefully that answers it as far as that goes. Great. Okay, fantastic. Let's see. What kind of business listing classified performance analytics does the CMS platform to provide, or do you just provide a Google Analytics for? Yes, so you can integrate with Google Analytics 4. Everybody nearly does that with our stuff. We have a very, very light analytics system in there that shows like how many views that a listing has, as well as sends an email out to the sponsors. However, we recommend use the Google Analytics. The challenge with doing internal analytics and then the Google is often that Google has some algorithms there to sort of exclude traffic from automated bots and other things out there. And so often the numbers are a little bit, difficult to make a match exactly with that. Like the simple metrics will be like, oh, we had so many views, but some of that was automated traffic as well. So nearly everybody uses Google Analytics, and that works pretty good. Great. Can I schedule a demo? Yeah, absolutely. We'll reach out to you, AJ, to schedule a demo. If anybody else wants a demo, just please let us know. And yeah, you can check this link here and schedule a time right now for Daniel. Happy to be a demo for you. Yeah, great. Any last questions here? Any last questions? Anything else you guys have? What do we got next in terms of webinars here, Emerson and Gabriel, coming up in the next couple of weeks?
We'll have one about artificial intelligence applied on SEO and content marketing.
Yeah, so and that's in 2 weeks from today. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, so I know everybody's been looking at OpenAI and ChatGPT and those kind of things. And so we're working on some stuff, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of what we're doing, but also just sort of the general market and how you can use it as sort of a tool for what you're doing and helping build your and to help you guys build your business. Yeah, so that should be a good one next week. So great. Let me see, just the last note from Charlene. Can I give you a call? Yeah, Charlene, I'll give you a call. Yeah, I called a couple numbers there, Charlene, and they were all like, this isn't Charlene's number. And so I don't know what happened there. I'll see if I can connect with you though. Just give me a few minutes here after the webinar. I'll reach out to you. Yes, please do that. Just send me an email. And what are the most reasons customers struggle with? Yeah, I mean, I think what do customers struggle with in terms of building a directory? That's a great question. Really, I think, often you're on the internet and you just think everything's going to happen immediately and it's going to whatever. And so I think sometimes it's really about I think there's probably two things there. One of them is just having the persistence to make sure that you get the content up, and it's really you're providing a great site. The content is there. It's a media business, so the content has to be great. The second thing I often see people struggle with is focus, just because there's so many different things you can do all over the place, and you have so many new ideas coming in, and you just sometimes people go too broad in terms of area. And so often they're like, oh, I'm going to go global. I'm going to go in a billion different categories. I'm going to do this and this and this. And then they end up spreading the peanut butter too thin. And then, yeah, they realize it later. I know I've been in business sort of, for a while now. And even today, after all these years, we still struggle with that sometimes, like trying to do too much. And it's really about just executing one thing well. I know my team, I tell them one ball in the goal instead of 3 at midfield is what we're trying to do. So I think that's the big tip there. And then quality content. You got to get the content quality. If you get really great quality content, there's people out there making a lot of money just off a newsletter, that they just send out a newsletter just because the content's good, Substack and those kind of things. And so a directory, can fit with that, be a piece of that, be something totally different, but it's really about the great quality content. Okay, great. Yeah. Emerson's smiling. Emerson's in Emerson's in Portugal. So it's he lives in Portugal. So it's getting late there. I guess he's getting a little word out today, but he'll be back smiling tomorrow morning. So, okay. Well, want to thank everybody for joining. If you have anything for us, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, great. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.